When you think of John Hancock, one image usually comes to mind. That bold, oversized signature at the bottom of the Declaration of Independence. The name so big, so flamboyant that even today, putting your John Hancock means to sign your name. But John Hancock was so much more than just a signature. He was one of the wealthiest men in the colonies, a patriot who put his fortune and reputation on the line, and the first president of the Continental Congress. His leadership helped guide the colonies through the earliest and most dangerous years of revolution. And John Hancock lived at the intersection of wealth and rebellion, politics and principle. And while his name may be remembered for its size, his legacy is remembered for its courage. Welcome to our republic.
When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political band,
sailors and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. Not
one small step for man. Those three hallowed words reverently dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, what you will be.
We pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
John Hancock was born in 1737 in Braintree, Massachusetts. Orphaned at a young age, he was taken in by his wealthy uncle, Thomas Hancock, a successful merchant in Boston. And under his uncle's care, Hancock grew up surrounded by business, trade, and politics. He studied at Harvard College, then joined the family firm. And when his uncle died in 1764, John inherited not just the business, but one of the largest fortunes in New England. Overnight, he became one of the richest men in the colonies. Man, I wish I had a rich uncle, man. He'd just give me all this money. But unlike many wealthy men of his time, Hancock did not retreat into comfort. He stepped into public life and soon into the storm of revolution. At first, Hancock was a respected member of Boston society, serving in civic roles and using his wealth to fund public works. But British taxation quickly changed the picture. In 1768, his ship, the Liberty, was seized by British customs officials on charges of smuggling. The seizure sparked riots in Boston, and Hancock became a symbol of resistance against British authority. Whether guilty or not, the message was clear. The Crown was targeting one of the colony's leading citizens, and Hancock stood defiant. This incident pushed him firmly into the patriot cause. And by the early 1770s, again with the early 1770s, Hancock was financing revolutionary activities, supporting the Sons of Liberty, and using his wealth to back protests and resistance against Britain. In 1775, after the battles of Lexington and Concord, Hancock was elected president of the Second Continental Congress. At just 38 years old, he became the political face of the revolution. It was under his presidency that Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence. And when the moment came to sign, presiding officer and patriot leader, put his name down first and largest. Legend has it he declared, "There, Bull John can read my name without spectacles, and now let him double the reward." Whether or not he actually said those words, his signature was a statement of defiance. Signing the Declaration was an act of treason, punishable by death. And Hancock didn't just sign it, he shouted his loyalty to liberty in ink in the size of courage. Like if you look at it, it's the biggest, it's amazing. I love it. After independence, Hancock continued to serve. He was elected governor of Massachusetts, held a position for most of the rest of his life. And as governor, Hancock worked to stabilize a state reeling from war. He supported debt relief for struggling farmers and balanced the demands of democracy with the need for order. When the Shays Rebellion erupted in 1780s, Hancock initially tried to mediate peacefully, showing his instinct for compromise. And though he often clashed with Federalists like John Adams, Hancock remained one of Massachusetts' most popular leaders. Hancock's health declined later in his years, but he held on to his governorship until his death in 1793. And at his funeral, thousands turned out in Boston to honor the man who signed independence and led their state for decades. John Hancock is remembered for his signature: bold, daring, important to miss. But the signature was more than flair. It symbolized his willingness to stake everything: wealth, power, even his life on the cause of liberty. As president of the Continental Congress, he guided America through its Declaration of Independence. As governor, he helped shape Massachusetts in its early years. And yes, he left his mark, literally and figuratively, on the Revolution. John Hancock, the wealthy merchant turned patriot leader, president of the First Continental Congress, and man who signed Declaration of Independence so loudly that it was like a musket shot. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. Remember, history isn't boring. It's the story of names written in ink that echo louder than the cannons fired during the Revolution. I'll see you next time.